You are listening to the Marc Guzman podcast experience. Hello, everyone. Another episode of Ask Marc Anything. And did we get that conversation recorded?
No,
by
we
chance?
didn't.
Okay. We were just talking about an article that came out in the San Francisco Chronicle talking about Prop 13 and the issue that some people have in that if you inherit property from your parents, grandparents, and you keep the property not as a primary residence, but keep it as an investment property or a second vacation home, should you be allowed to keep the Prop 13 taxes that your parents or grandparents originally had, or should they be reset at market rate? It's a big debate right now going on at the statewide level, and I think, to be honest, I think in 2-3 years, there's a lot of support really pushing to reset those property tax values. Now, if you inherit property and keep it as a primary residence, no one is arguing that. You should keep the lower tax rate. But there's a lot of money, and we were just briefly talking about $600 million per year in potential tax money being left on the table because the majority of the people who inherit properties will then convert them over into secondary vacation homes or rental properties. And I think they said it was something like 63% of people, or that might have been LA Times that came out with that for Los Angeles County.
Yeah, it's a pretty big number.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's going to be a very interesting debate. The LAO, the Legislative Analyst Office, they came out with a report, I want to say 1 or 2 years ago, and they did this report on their own and basically went to lawmakers and said, hey, we've discovered you're leaving a lot of tax money on the table for this situation that's going on with Prop 13. And they're telling lawmakers, you may want to look into this. So there is a lot of support to eliminate those benefits for secondary vacation homes and rental properties when you inherit. So it'll be interesting to watch the next couple of years.
Yeah, definitely. And we can probably go in depth into it more on later episodes.
Yeah. We'll have to figure out who would be really good to bring onto the show for that.
Yeah. All
But
right.
yeah, let's get into the first question.
All right. So the first question, our first official question, is gonna be, what is your opinion on virtual brokerages?
So this is very interesting to watch because you're seeing a lot of virtual brokerages pop up across the nation. The one that I keep seeing ads for all the time on social media is EXP. I know of some agents who have also left their current brokers and went to join EXP, and they love the flexibility of a virtual brokerage. And I think as technology continues to improve and we start getting AI bots that get improved and then AI technology that helps in many different business industries, the old school model of a brokerage where you have a licensed broker that has to oversee multiple sales agents, I think that is going to disappear. I think, and we're already seeing that the profitability for brokers continues to decline every single year, and you have a lot of brokers that are now deciding to just work on their own or maybe have 1 or 2 agents in their office at the most, because having multiple agents, it's a lot of liability and the profit is just not there anymore like it used to be. It used to be a profit center for a broker where you could have 50 or 100 agents or 200-300 agents and it was worth it. Nowadays, it's not really worth it. Agents are demanding more and more of the commission split. They're demanding more and more services, and unfortunately, old school ways of doing real estate doesn't work anymore, and you're seeing that shift. And so I think virtual brokerages offer that solution right now, and it offers real estate agents flexibility. You could also still be a broker associate under a virtual broker. And it's very interesting to see Keller Williams just recently announced that they're going to be opening up virtual brokerages. So we have Keller Williams, a big staple in the industry, that is now also recognizing this trend, and they are going to switch their own model and they're actually going to have 2 models: the old school model that everyone knows and the virtual model. So I think it's a very smart move on Keller Williams to do this, and it's going to be interesting to see how this goes. But I think eventually one day you're going to have a lot of agents really working under virtual broker, because the reality is most brokers now don't need a brick and mortar building to operate. In fact, if you walk into any real estate office, you're maybe going to see 2 to 5% of the agents that work there at the actual office, because everyone's mobile these days. So I think that's going to be the going trend, and that's where the business is going.
All right. And then how will rising interest rates affect home sales?
So this is very interesting because rates have gone from about 4% beginning of this year to about 4.75%. And that represents, on a $500,000 mortgage, about a $300 a month payment increase. Now, to some people that may be a lot, to other people that may not sound like a lot, but let me kind of break this down. So $300 a month is approximately $3,600 per year, which is approximately $6,500 after or before taxes. So the $3,600 is prior to taxes, or sorry, after taxes are taken out. $6,500 pre-tax. So $6,500, I mean, if you think about it, is about a $3 per hour. So if you're getting that taken out because of an increased payment, you're looking at a $3 per hour decrease in your pay. You're looking at a possible 10% pay increase from $60,000 to $66,500, completely wiped out just because of interest rates going from 4 to 4.75. It's also about the average of what a Californian spends an entire year on groceries. So, it's pretty significant. And so we're starting to see the market shift a little bit because the rates have gone from 4 to 4.75. California's gone through, July was a third consecutive month where they've noticed a decrease in closed sales when you calculate it annualized from last year. So I think closed sales, they announced they dropped about 3.4% in July from a year ago. And then you have inventory that's jumped 12% from a year ago. So you have increase in inventory, a drop in closed overall sales. And so you're starting to see the interest rates really affect the market. It's going to be interesting to see how far the market will actually be affected by this. So there's a bit of a shift. It's still not, a lot of economists are still not talking about a correction or a crash or recession. They still think it's a strong market, but there is a market shift going on. So interest rates do affect the market and are affecting the market right now. And if you have a property on the market, it's something to follow, because Zillow announced, I believe, 14% of all the listings on Zillow in July had to be reduced. So we're starting to see the trend, and that's actually up 12% from a year ago. So we're starting to see more and more price reductions, more inventory, less closed sales. Buyers are going to start getting a bit pickier with what they want because there's more inventory. And we're going to see less people able to qualify for certain prices because interest rates are going up and it's an extra $300 a month. So it's going to be interesting to watch.
Definitely something to keep an eye on. All right, and then lastly, how can I improve my real estate business and do more sales?
Okay, so I think you have to first analyze what you are doing right now for your own real estate business. NAR came out with some interesting statistics recently in the last week or two regarding all the realtors within their association, average income, average hours worked, and it's very interesting. So the average, or actually the median income right now for a realtor is $39,000 per year. Now, keep in mind, this is of everyone in their organization. They go even further and break it down by brokers, managers, broker associates, down to salespeople. And salespeople make a median income of about 29,000. So if you're a broker, you tend to make a little bit more money than a sales agent. And I think that speaks to educations and also experience, which I think are the two most important things you need to look at. So if you want to increase the amount of business that you do, I really think there's two ways to do it. And that's education, and that's also experience. Now, obviously, experience comes down to doing more sales. So you have to become more valuable to the public, more valuable to clients. They will seek you out as you become more valuable, and either you're charging more for your services or you're doing more transactions. If you do more transactions, that feeds into experience. But I think many agents need to start getting educated in what their industry is doing. I see so many real estate agents that they understand how to do open houses. They understand how to put a property on the MLS. They understand the basics of the industry. But what they don't understand is what it takes to really sell a property. They don't understand how the market shifts, what the market's doing. They don't understand certain trends. And there's a lot of things that go into understanding how to price a property, how to negotiate, how to properly service your clients and consult them. Sometimes you have to tell your clients it's not time to sell. Sometimes you have to tell them the process on how to sell a property, purchase another property. Many times you have to tell your clients to not buy a property. But you can only properly advise them when you fully understand what the real estate market is doing. And I think that really comes down to education. And when I say education, I don't mean go to real estate conferences, get pumped up with excitement, and then go back to your day-to-day and try to do more marketing. I think education comes down to, for example, if you're a sales agent, go out and get your broker license. If you're already a broker, maybe you go out and educate yourself in other designations. Get more education. Start following and listening to podcasts and follow blogs where they're talking about real estate specific industries. Maybe look at and study how interest rates are really affected by the overall economy and by certain decisions made at a government level. Really get to know your local market, and when you start learning all the various different components and how they come together, that's when you become a real expert in being able to explain to clients how certain things may affect their sale or purchase of a real estate transaction. Or if you do property management, it really goes into explaining not just how to get certain rent prices, but what kind of upgrades to do. If there could be a difference between a $10,000 and $20,000 remodel based on the return that you're going to get over a 2-3 year period, and if the bump increase makes it worth it, great. If not, then you might as well do a light remodel on an apartment. But how do you know that? You have to learn how to analyze these numbers and understand the various trends and numbers to properly explain that to clients. And so I really think education is number one. Get educated in what's going on in your market. That will then translate to being able to advise clients. That then translates into doing more sales. That gives you more experience. And as time goes on, you just continue. And eventually one day, and it's funny, if you see agents that have been in the business for 10 plus years, they do really well, much better than agents who have been in business 2 or 3 years. Pretty obvious, right? Well, imagine when you're in the business for 20, 30 years, you're going to be doing much better than people doing it for 10 years. So that combined with sales and education, I think is key to improving your real estate business. That's it, right? Mm-hmm. Those 3 questions. So thank you for watching, listening to the podcast. We've got some great guests coming up. We've got, if you have time on this Saturday to watch the live feed on Facebook, we have Semi Obeid, right?
Yep, Saturday at 11.
Yeah, I'm excited for this one. He's a stand-up comic, and he's got the world record for the most comedic performances in a row at 1,001, which is crazy. So I'm excited to have him on the podcast.
Then we got Miranda Jante's episode going up tomorrow. The story of making her film Grease Monkey. Very interesting story.
Yeah, that was a fun episode too. And so just want to thank all the people that are watching, listening to the podcast. It's great to get the feedback. Some of you I run into in person, and the feedback's phenomenal. So thank you for watching. And again, if you have any questions that you would like for me to answer, shoot me a message, email, leave it in the comments, and I will go ahead and put it on to the next Ask Mark Anything. Thanks.